From the flight deck of the astral plane, this is your Captain Starpilot33, checking in after a long hiatus with Flight Log 17. It's been almost a year since my last trip. And while it's hard to believe, it's also not, because a lot has happened, and I had to work through everything before tripping again. My mind was not in a good place at all, and after the last trip, we had several difficult months with Copilot as he declined in health. And heading toward the end of the year, we were trying last-ditch efforts like chemo to try to help him. And it did help for a few weeks, and he was better than he'd been in a while. But just as quickly, that turned around, and you know the rest. After Copilot left on December 26th, life just stopped for a while. It was all I could do to put together that video tribute for him. The house stayed exactly as it was. I didn't even take down the Christmas tree until February. Grief is something that consumes you when it's raw. It's like a tsunami that hits and takes everything with it the first time. And then over time the waves have more space between them, but every time one hits, everything comes rushing back again, with tears and second-guessing every decision, especially that last decision, in letting Copilot go. It took me a very long time to work up to this trip because I felt exhausted from it all. I scheduled a day off from work on a Monday or a Friday at least 8 times to give me a 3-day weekend, but each time I canceled right before and went to work anyway, just not feeling up to the huge ordeal that a trip is for me. It's usually an entire evening, night, and the following day to recover. And if that's on a regular weekend, it doesn't give you much time for anything else. This time was no different. Before I get into the trip details, I have to tell you about a new friend. His name is Tigger. He'll be 2 years old in August, and he showed up at the farm last October, causing trouble because he was a young tomcat at the time. He was sweet, but he was chasing off the other farm cats, and he clearly decided that I was his person for whatever reason, even jumping in my car all the time trying to go home with me. So I brought him home to spend the night on the catio while waiting for his appointment to be neutered and microchipped. And at that time, Copilot saw him through the sliding glass door, and I think they had some kind of conversation. That day Tigger was here was the first day of Copilot's chemo, I remember. And that night, Tigger cried and cried outside. He was going to wake up the whole neighborhood. I had to bring him in, put him in my bedroom, close the door so the others wouldn't get in, bring a litter box and some water, and just let him settle down. He ran around the room at 2 a.m., jumped up on the sink, went under the bed, used the litter box, and when he was done with all that, he decided to jump on the bed and snuggle up with me all night. And that was not what I was expecting at all from a tomcat at the farm. So Tigger went back to the farm after all that because I had my hands full taking care of Copilot. I didn't want to add any further disruption and stress to the already stressful household. Fast forward to March, I'd been thinking about bringing Tigger home. Everyone was grieving Copilot, especially Romeo. The sadness in the house was terrible. Romeo was progressing in his lung cancer, and if I lost him soon, then his best friend, Church Mouse, also a former farm rescue cat, would be devastated. So I hoped Tigger would get along with the others, and when Romeo's time came, Church at least wouldn't be alone after losing 2 cat friends in such a short time. Needless to say, everyone hissed at Tigger for around 3 days, and that was that. They accepted him after a week or so, and it was like he'd always been here. Maybe Copilot was sending the next cat even before he left, and I think maybe he did. I was hesitant to trip until Tigger was fully settled in, and because I didn't know what he would do or not do with trip energy in the house, it turns out he just slept the entire time on his cat tree. In fact, all 3 of the cats did. It was like everyone was doing their individual work on the other side. Only Romeo came up to the couch to say hi one time. So on the menu for this trip was a Rice Krispie treat edible made by a friend that had around 4.5 grams of Gorilla Wizard and Turbo PE honey. You'll remember the turbos from previous trips, and that they were super potent PE specifically cultivated for their high psilocybin psilocin percentage. Gorilla Wizard is a hybrid of 2 potent PE variants, Makilla Gorilla and Gandalf. You can look up those 2, but they're basically strong PE hybrids with some Melmac PE, and one with True Albino Teacher, otherwise known as Ghost, which we saw on another trip, and the other one has some albino PE in it. Add a drizzle of turbo honey and you've got a heck of a night ahead of you. I forgot to take my Dramamine beforehand, but after eating the edible, I took 2 just in case they helped. I really don't get nausea on the edibles my friend makes, but it's only on my own. But I had the bucket right there just in case. So I started around 7:30. It was the longest day of the year, and while I like to get started earlier, I also like the sun going down and for it to be getting dark right as the trip comes on. So I settled on the couch, and just when I did, I heard thunder. It didn't take long for things to start. There were some gentle patterns and voices, hearing my own brain replaying things that people said. I could still hear noises outside, the air conditioner running, and I could still open my eyes at any time. I did at one point, and I could faintly see the green light on the wall where Ami hangs out. "Are you here?" I asked. "Yes," he said. "Are you sure?" I asked, doubting whether that was really Ami or just my mind wanting it to be. "I'm here. We'll talk later," he said. I closed my eyes again. While there was no heavy body load at all like my own PE, these did take me down fast. Immediately I felt a pressure around my temples on top of my head like I was wearing some kind of device. I recognized the energy and the shapes in front of me as the doctors. I saw them on my very first trip. They were the very first thing I ever saw on the other side. This time there was a nurse, a female motherly energy, that was assessing me and commenting on what a mess I was. I later learned that that was the albino PE in the Maquila gorilla variant and the true albino teacher. Apparently regular PE has a masculine energy and albino carries a female energy. She asked me to lie very still and was doing some kind of tests or scans. It was the first of several times during the trip that I'd have tests and scans run for whatever reason. Then the head doctor came in. He looked like a medicine man from some unplaceable tribe. He was short with a very round face and very dark skin. He had some kind of ceremonial strings around his head, one around his forehead, one just under his eyes and across his nose, one just under his nose, just above his mouth, and one just under his chin. The white strings seemed to partition his face into 4 parts, contrasting with his dark skin. He said something about there being too much scar tissue. He said there were a lot of scars from injuries, but the scar tissue had grown out of control and is now restricting motion and preventing healing. I asked if it could be removed or fixed, and he said not entirely. He said the tissue could be made to stop growing, and what was there could be told to repurpose itself, as in allocate its energy elsewhere. I saw an image of cells deflating like their energy was gone, and what was left was just a membrane. Apparently, this was going to be an ongoing process to fix, not a magical cure. He mentioned damage that was typical for what I'd been through, and that most of it could be fixed where it wasn't healing. He said even when healed, though, there would still be a scar, and it's important to keep an eye on scar tissue growth. This went on for a while, and I got the idea that the length of time that I was away and the things that had happened in that time had me arriving back on the other side needing to go straight to the emergency room before proceeding. The nurse seemed to say there was no trickery or test tonight because this was about healing and getting back on track with myself. I was honestly glad to hear that because 4.5 grams of an untried before potent hybrid made from 2 other potent hybrids drizzled with turbo honey sounds in theory like a fast track to getting your ass kicked. After that, I felt like I was again in some sort of diagnostic lab where there was a male energy there. He was busy working on something, and I realized he was one of the IT guys that I see from time to time, anytime I take the turbos. See Flight Log 4 and Flight Log 15 for more on that. I asked him if I'm okay, and he said something like, "You know your work computer, how you missed a bunch of updates and there were corrupted files and it took IT all morning to fix it and it wiped out all your share drives and they had to be remapped? It's kind of like that, but worse." "Who are you?" I asked. "What's your name?" "Call me Al," he said, like the Simon and Garfunkel song. "I'm Al from IT." Then he went back to whatever he was doing, and I just felt at ease knowing that the IT TurboTech guys were helping to fix whatever was messed up. As this trip ramped up, the sequence of events becomes harder to remember, so I'll do my best, but it was a lot to digest. These mushrooms had a lot to say. I opened my eyes and couldn't believe it was 9:30. I'd been under for 2 solid hours right from the start. The room was now dark and it started to rain. I was thankful for the rain. The sound of the rain and the thunder on a trip is so soothing, and when it's raining, it's more unlikely for the neighbors to be outside making noise all night. I said hi to Ami again, and then I realized that I hadn't talked to him since Copilot left, and this was the first trip without him there. We talked for a while about everything that happened and how everything that I did helped him in his transition. Ami said to close my eyes again, and there was instantly somebody there. 2 energies, in fact, 1 male and 1 female, and they were explaining about spirit and energy. They said in life, we are spirit inhabiting matter, and while that has its own energy, it's different than spirit inhabiting energy free from the anchor of a physical body. They said that when the physical bond is at its end, the spirit reverts to its bond with energy and rejoins the place where it all came from. Call it God, Great Spirit, Creator. It's a much more vast and incomprehensible spirit energy than we are. And yet, we're part of it. While they talked, I saw this huge superstructure that was like the scaffolding behind all creation or something. They showed me the ocean again, like so many times before, and that we're all sailing our ships on this vast ocean in life, navigating storms, seeing new places, and occasionally gliding off the surface to fly among the stars. But at some point, there comes a time when we know it's time to return to shore. Even if we don't necessarily want to, there's a point where we just know it's time. Apparently, it was time for Copilot a year before he left. On December 26, 2024, he was not doing well at all, and he had an asthma attack that took me hours to get under control. I was upset that day with family drama, and I believe he was given 1 more year extension at that time. Then he left me exactly 1 year later. They said when it's time to head for shore, you look for the lighthouse. That's how you know you're almost home. And it's time to make that final turn to the shoreline. In the hours before Copilot left on that terrible day, I noticed he wasn't really looking at me when I got close to him, and I tried to look in his eyes. Only once he looked up from his water bowl with terribly sad eyes that seemed to say that he didn't think that he'd feel better again this time. Outside on his cat tree, just an hour before the vet arrived, he lay there looking past me. I wondered if he saw an angel or a me or just a glimpse of the other side. But they told me he was looking at the lighthouse. He had it in sight and he was turning for home right then. He said, my assistance with the vet at the house provided the tailwind and the following seas to help him that last mile. They said everything unfolded in a beautiful way, and although it wasn't possible to see that at the time, they said that helping him home was a gift that only a great love could make possible. Then they showed me a swan. I know the one. There's a swan that appeared in the neighborhood lake a few months ago. I don't know if it's a he or a she, but it seems like a female. I took a walk one evening and there was this swan in the middle of the path up ahead. I was startled at how big it was, even at a distance. And there were some other people who were walking and staying well clear of it. I watched for a while and the swan ate tree nuts and whatever insects were around. And there was an ibis there also eating from the grass and several Muscovy ducks. At some point, the swan stretched out her wings and walked toward the water, just gracefully sliding in and sailing on its way. The entity said that a swan doesn't always stay in the water, of course. While the water is its natural place, it knows when it's time to come to shore. Nothing can force them, they just come to shore when it's time. And they know when it's time to return to the water again. Returning to the subject of Copilot, they said, all physical matter that's our anchor to this reality is repurposed, and that its energy is allocated to other things so that the spirit that it was tied to can be free to inhabit energy without boundaries and limits. I thought about the swan again and how I'd considered giving him or her a name, but then I was told that even names create a kind of container for something that wasn't defined by words or sounds before. And it was true. You give something a name and then there's like a tether put in place, even if it's done with good intentions. I thought of Copilot, who was free before I took him in, named him, gave him food, shelter, and love. They said he'd lived in freedom long enough and he was sick when I met him. He agreed to the container because he wanted to live, and he'd never experienced love before from any other being. So he was okay with the name, the home, the meal plan, the medicines, and all that followed. I made a recording after I was done talking with him, after opening my eyes, and I was with a me again and the sound of the rain and the thunder. Okay, so I just want to do a recording while I'm on the surface for a little while. We are about 2 or 3 hours in. It's about 10:15. A rainy night. I'm really glad I was able to do this. The rain really helped. This is the first trip without Copilot here. Well, first trip in a very long time because there were many trips before Copilot. But this is the first one without him here recently. But he is here. I mean, I've got his little box right on me, and I've got a blanket with a picture of him, and I was able to talk to him a little bit tonight. Ami made that possible.
And one of the funny things is he said, like, I don't look like a cat over here, you know? I guess not. This is about spirit tied to matter and spirit tied to energy. And what Ami said is pretty cool about this is when I'm over here in this state, I'm kind of a little bit of both. I'm spirit in an energy state, but also I've got the anchor in a matter state. Pretty cool. It's ancient tradition, he says, but it allows me to communicate better with things that are in spirit energy state instead of just being spirit matter state, right? Yeah. Anyway, Copilot is happy. He's well. He understands everything that happened, and he said that while he said while he was here with me, he knew he was sick. He knew that he needed my help and I needed his help. And so he was happy to try as much as he could. But he knew he was sick, and he knew that everything I was doing was trying to help. But he said, it's just, at some point it's time to go. It's time to go, and the matter state has done its job, and it's come to the end of what it's designed for, and that I helped to make it last as long as possible, but that it was time for the spirit to return to the energy state. And that's what happened. And he said that death is just a transition, like we've heard. He said, think about it like a rainbow, in that it reveals the way things work, but for a short time you can see like light reflecting or refracting off of the water that's always there in the atmosphere. You just can only see it at a certain angle, and then it fades as that angle's lost. But he said that's the same thing that happens when somebody transitions from a matter energy or matter spirit state to spirit energy state, and that there's a brief moment where you can see that. And they said that assisting in that transition is a beautiful thing, and that everything went exactly the way it could, the most beautiful way it could have. And that he said that when he passed, that everybody was here. He said that the room was full of spirits, everybody from the trips, the native elders, the little crab people that that one trip, and the spaceships, and like everybody that we encountered through the years. All the entities were here. And it felt like I was all alone in the room with the nurse when that happened, but he said that everybody was here. And when he crossed over, his energy just joined the crowd. And he said that it's like he told me before, he's just sleeping in the next room. And he's not really sleeping though. Not really. He says that he's always said that there's very little between where I am now and where he is now. So we have to think about it like that. I'm tied to the physical, but that the spirit is it comes from an energetic state. We just choose to be here to experience things. That's the only reason that we're in the matter state, is to just learn and experience life, existence in a physical body. Okay, so anyway, message from Copilot. He's fine. He loves me forever. He's really he's sad that I'm sad. And he's like, don't be sad. It's hard not to be, but oh my God, so many tears tonight. But he's okay. He's fine. He's with me. And he said everything that happened was so beautiful. And he thanks me for making it that way.
So yeah, I did get to see Copilot on this trip, but he wasn't the same. He didn't look like a cat anymore. It was his energy, but it was mixed into the background of fluid organic shapes and the so-called machinery that I always see on trips. I realized that it was an energetic organism, not a machine. Humans manufactured machines with this in their subconscious mind the whole time, and this wasn't a machine. It was alive, conscious, powered by limitless energy, and the words we use to describe it, like machinery or sacred geometry, are just word devices, names that we use to define something so we can understand it. But names also limit the understanding of it when we contain it in that way also. I looked at the time and it was around 10:30. I knew from past trips that this is when the peak starts to hit, and that in the past it meant some pretty bad nausea, some pretty bad storms and big waves. So far, it was okay though, but things were speeding up. I felt more than once that these mushrooms were running away with me, like they decided to accelerate indefinitely and there wasn't anything I could do about it. One of the spaceships said, "The best thing you can do right now is not interfere. This is a pilot override. You are not in control. See, we don't need you to do what we do, but we agree to work together when it's the right situation." Of course I understood. These weren't machines to be controlled and never were. I was just in a strange spot where I hadn't been briefed on what was going on or agreed to be run away with, and there wasn't anything I could really do to stop it. I stayed still, like when I'm on my motorcycle going 130 miles an hour in a straight line. Was anything wrong? No. Was the bike okay? Running perfectly, even at top speed. Was I okay? Physically, yes. So what's the problem? And the fact that I wasn't in control of the situation, like on the motorcycle. That was what was uncomfortable, and it got worse. This, I thought, is exactly why people are afraid to eat these things in high quantities. The spaceship said, "Yes, you get the whole package when you sign up, you know that. Don't open your eyes or it'll get worse. You'll panic and freak out if you try to surface at this speed." See, you get the maternal energy of the albino PEs and the true albino teachers in the Gandalf variant, as well as the doctors with the Melmacs and in the Killer Gorilla and Gandalf. You get the IT guys from the turbos, and you also get dragged behind a spaceship accelerating exponentially until it chooses to do something else. It stopped not because I wanted to, but because it had something else to do and somewhere else to be. This happened twice in slightly different circumstances, but the second time I just hung on, tucked in, and stayed still and tried to stay with it and not fight the situation. I woke up from that and felt like I had to pee, but also I hadn't had anything to drink all night except the orange juice that I washed down the edible with. I didn't feel nauseous exactly, but I also didn't feel great. Standing up was hard, and trying to get to the bathroom was also hard. I wanted to just get back to the couch before my equilibrium got any funny ideas. I don't know what it is about water, but when you're brave enough to take a sip in the middle of a trip, it's like it ramps up the trip again, and sometimes nausea. It wasn't that bad this time with the nausea, but every tiny sip of water seemed to add fuel to the fire of what was going on in my stomach and my body. On that note, I felt like I was absolutely on fire. Not sweating like sometimes, I was just hot to the touch. My stomach felt so hot it was burning my hand. And my hands felt hot. I bumped the AC down another degree. These mushrooms like to come in mind-bending, reality-bending waves. Everything would be stable, and then suddenly the closed-eye visuals would swallow me, and external sounds in the house would melt together with the sound of my own blood rushing through my veins. I came to some kind of a large round door, and it asked me, "Who are you?" And here's where I made another recording afterward while talking to me about it.
Okay, thoughts on the come down. I was just talking to me about call me Al. Al from IT, right? This is a turbo guy. This has turbos in it. Yeah, we got some upgrades tonight, and I was looking at the superstructure of the universe or whatever, and someone asked, "Who are you?" And I said, "Well, who am I? Who's asking?" Right? Like the whole Alan Watts thing. And I said, I'm you. The energy's like laughs and says, right answer. And then we get sucked up into this like other level, and it's Al from IT, and he says, well, it's gonna take a much higher dose for like you to be me and me to be you and all that, and like that kind of a merge. He said, but what we can try a synchro phase, like an energy phase, where we both are on the same energetic frequency, and then you can see what I see and vice versa, and we can amplify. Let's just try it. We can try, see if it works. So we do, and what happened was this crazy fractal, multi-layered dimension. It was very like parallel line thing though, but it looked a lot like a casino he was laughing. He's like, yeah, without the addiction, the guilt, and the cartel, but just the lights and the patterns. It was like, wow, it was like an awesome casino. And so at the end of that, he says, well, that's cool that function still works. I'm going to put that down as a successful test. Thanks for helping me with that one. It's like, good to know synchro phase still works. And he said, and I see you've got the old hardware in your arm. I'm like, yeah, that was from like Lincoln with the spaceships back in the day. He goes, yeah, that's so 2008. And I'm like, what? Wait a minute, like, I didn't even get that till like 2012. He's like, yeah, but it came out in 2008. He's like the song, right? He's like, that's 2008. So he's like, yeah, keep it. That's like previous dimension stuff. Doesn't work anymore. You don't need it, but keep it, because it's like a gladiator tattoo of the old days. So just keep it there as like a, you're one of the old timers. I'm like, really? Shit. Al from IT, live on the other side.
It was kind of weird hearing that the old plug-in they gave me in my arm, which I hadn't used in a long time anyway, was now some kind of relic. I guess I've just been at this a while, 15 years actually. I mean, joked that I was, quote, one of the originals, whatever that means, maybe in a Starpilot sense. I know there were others. I met a few along the way in trip space. I said I was starting to feel like that old gladiator that Al talked about. Emmy laughed and said, it's true, I've seen a few storms and gotten some experience with this, but that just opens up possibilities for deeper levels. We talked about some of the stories from past trips, and he knew about stuff that happened even before I met him. He mentioned this one trip where these two entities appeared with a spaceship whose engine had a problem, and they asked me to fix it, and I had no idea how to fix it. I decided instead of guessing, I would just make them a new one. Apparently the whole thing was a test, and I just didn't know that until Emmy explained it. He said there was nothing wrong with the engine, they just wanted to see if you would try, and if so, what you would conclude. They never expected you to completely create a new one out of the energy in the room, and they were impressed at how you chose to solve the problem. You threw them for a loop and the story got around. It must have if Emmy heard of it before he even knew me. Thinking back, I think that was maybe my second or third trip ever. Gosh, that was a long time ago. I agreed there's no reaching the end of the learning, and if you think you're an expert, you'll likely get knocked back a few levels pretty darn quick. Emmy and I talked for a while then about cancer and why it happens. I have another cat with cancer, Romeo, who's 16 years old, and he has adenocarcinoma in his lungs. Basically, he's growing tumors, and one is very large, nearly half the size of his heart now, and it's doubled in size in the past 6 months. Just after losing Copilot to lymphoma 6 months ago, the subject of cancer has been on my mind a lot. I started talking to Emmy, but somewhere in the conversation I closed my eyes again and went under as the discussion continued. Someone, not Emmy, but someone else, was explaining in terms of a computer, not because what happens is the same, but because it's a handy way to illustrate it simply. They said that cells have a preset program, and they follow that for development, growth, function, and death. They have instructions as to what to do and how to protect themselves, repair themselves, and die when it's time for replacement. I was told that sometimes these good cells have a glitch where the program gets stuck in a loop, or it keeps producing new cells like blank Word files, and each blank file has instruction to create more blank files, and none of them have any of the instructions of what to do and how to protect and defend and when to die. They duplicate exponentially until the allegorical memory space is being used up with all these cells reproducing without instructions like the uncorrupted ones. They start to tax the system, cause the good cells or programs to work extra hard to keep functions normal while diverting energy to fight the problem. Then the out-of-control file duplication spread to other directories and start corrupting more programs with their instructions, causing other file systems to start duplicating. It's not a perfect example, and I'm sure I'm not perfectly remembering it, but I got what they were saying. But why does it have to happen in the first place? What makes that first cell start to do that, and why can't the others stop it before it gets out of hand? They said that by the time the others realize what's happened and that the corrupted cell is duplicating abnormally and not functioning, it's already too strong to fight off. It operates without triggering the alarms in the system for a while, apparently. I asked, though, but why? Why does it exist at all? I wasn't very happy with the answer, but it was something like, it's one of many ways that our time here ends. Because sometimes it's because of age that cells are weaker and more prone to abnormality, or sometimes there's underlying disease that caused the system weakness that led to the abnormal cells. Sometimes there's an inherent issue with the system itself that was latent from the beginning, it just develops. Whether it's that or disease or accidents or however we're called home again, it's to return to the spirit, to the energy state when it's time. I just didn't like that answer, and I said I believed there had to be a way to prevent cells from misfiring like that and going rogue. They didn't disagree, but they said that's just how it is with physical bodies. They cannot live forever because they were never designed to. The old needs to be replaced by the new. Even healthy cells know that they grow, reproduce, and die, and let the new cells take over. When that can't happen anymore for whatever reason, it's time to head for shore, like we discussed earlier. I opened my eyes and talked with Ami about it further. He said, maybe sensing that I was trying to figure out if I did something that caused Copilot or Romeo to get cancer, that there's no preventing what happened and what's happening with Romeo. He said that unlike with people, the goal in treating cancer in cats is to slow it down, not eradicate it like humans. Romeo had all the best food, supplements, parasite prevention, and care for any infection or illness he ever got throughout the years. He says he just has genetic factors that make cats with his breeding more likely to develop lung tumors. Surgery to remove them and the chemo and radiation would put him through hell and would not guarantee that the tumors wouldn't regrow. I knew that 2 years ago when we first saw that blurry spot on the x-ray that could be a mass. He was 14 then. I just felt it was more humane to let him live as comfortably as possible, and when it's clear his quality of life was suffering from the issue, then help him to shore like I did with Copilot. Having a plan and having gone through it before recently does not make the prospect of what's to come any easier though. The blazing speed and universe melting phase of the peak started to ease off around midnight, and by that I mean I could talk to Ami again somewhat coherently, but I could feel the pull beneath, and my eyelids were fighting to stay open. Again and again I went under. One time, as I was being run away with by another spaceship, I realized I was on the inside and couldn't see out. I was just looking at them and they were looking at me, and as we careened through whatever, I asked if I could see where we were going, and the spaceship was a little confused by the question. You know, the view outside. I can only see inside. I want to see a view outside in the direction we're headed. Oh, okay, it said. It felt like that was somehow unnecessary. Suddenly my view exploded into soaring geometric structures, cathedrals, temples, structures made of arches and patterns full of glimmering lights and shapes. This space outside was like flying through soaring hallways and vast cavernous spaces inside a cathedral. The word superstructure kept going through my mind throughout the whole night. Around 2 a.m. I decided to head to bed. I figured we were on a steady come down and there wouldn't be much left. I said goodnight to Ami and headed for bed, where I laid for another 2 hours as this trip would not let up. The mushrooms asked what else I wanted to see, and I said, "Show me what you got," like on Rick and Morty, just to say something funny in a situation that was heading for not so funny. I told him I just really wanted to sleep, and I'm not trying to tie myself to the mast and ride this one all the way to the ground like before. Again, it seems that it wasn't my decision whether to or not. I was tied to the mast until they said I was done. So I lay there and didn't sleep. I started to get worried as it crept closer to 3:30 a.m. What if something got messed up in my head and I couldn't sleep anymore, like ever? What if this trip never lands and just stays in this slow come down forever? I could still hear the blood in the tiny vessels in my ears making a click, click, click sound that lasted till nearly 4 a.m. I rolled over and thought, whatever, I'm fine with it. And then I got an image of the back rooms, specifically the pool rooms, those creepy liminal spaces appearing everywhere online now. Something about them is calming to me. Maybe not the idea of some evil entity hunting you or a sea monster in the bottomless pools with waves coming from some unknown source. I'm okay to just sit there and marvel at the endless rows of white tiles, wishing I had the contract to supply whoever runs these places. My mind went through a lot of places like that, like stuff I'd seen, situations at work and wherever, replaying them again through bursts of white lights and patterns. It felt like my brain was defragging from like everything that had happened since the last trip. I momentarily ran into another traveler. He said his name was Juan. He was pretty freaked out and stuck in a place that was like between pieces of the superstructure machinery. How he got in there like that, I don't know, but it reminded me of people that get wedged into tight caves. I couldn't really see him, and he couldn't really see me, but I said I was another traveler and not to panic. He was panicking. I said the way out is the same way you came in that you have to relax and let your body just melt and become like water, not all rigid like he was. That's why he was stuck. I told him to breathe out and feel his body slipping backwards like it was made of liquid. He agreed to try, and he got a little movement back the other way, and then he understood what to do, and he just wanted to get out of there. He said thank you, and that was it. Ami laughed and at the fact that I was helping other travelers get unstuck from situations on trips while I was in a trip myself. Then he said, I need to help myself first, or I'm no good to everyone else. Put on your own oxygen mask first, then help others, remember? If you pass out, you're no good to anyone. He meant that in terms of the rest of my life also. I've worn myself out caring for people who don't care for me, expending energy for people who take but never give, and caring for animals who do give back and are thankful. Caring for vehicles and a house that both provide me freedom to move around and shelter, but meanwhile I'm not getting enough sleep at all, not drinking enough water, and generally neglecting my own needs in favor of everyone else. And it has to stop. If I don't stop it, my body's gonna stop it for me. I thought about home, that house that I left on Christmas 2024 and never came back to, except a few days later for 30 minutes to pick up some belongings and take one last look. It wasn't fair, and it wasn't enough to have a few minutes to say goodbye to the family house of over 35 years. I said I wanted to visit home. Ami said it just isn't the same. I said, I know. He said new people are there, it's decorated differently. I said, it's okay. I just want to walk in the front door again. I want to see the pool through the sliding glass doors in the living room. I just want to see my bedroom again. He said someone else is sleeping there now. I said, I know, it's okay. I just sat on the floor for a moment and wished them happy dreams and that the room would always be a safe place for them like it was for me. I went into the family room and sat on the fireplace hearth. There was different furniture and different pictures on the walls, but my memories kept seeing what used to be there. I remembered the last time I was there for a few minutes, in tears, racing to get my belongings and get out by the deadline my parents had set. The artificial Christmas tree was still up, dark, with no decorations, looking sad and stale. I remembered what I learned earlier about scar tissue and things being repurposed. Old things need to be trimmed away so new things can have energy. The house had energy and life again, and that was home to new people. My parents had given up on the place. Christmas was an afterthought that last year, and now I know it was because mentally they'd already moved, even though I wasn't aware of their plans at the time. So now they have a new life far away and a new house. They're with the family they want to be with, and that just doesn't include me. I left the house, and on the way out, I blessed it and prayed for peace to always be there. I saw the medicine man again at the end of the trip, the same one as in the beginning. He ran one more scan. I was in a large room, and there was this giant machine that moved around me. It looked like someone breakdancing or something. It moved all around me, scanning from every angle. The medicine man said I was doing better, but he was still concerned. He said I needed to follow up again really soon, not in 6 to 9 months. Soon. I was still seeing visuals and bright lights until after 4 a.m. I could still hear Ami too. He said something about needing to help me power down because this trip was just hanging in there well after I'd thanked everyone and said my goodbyes. I just got a visual of a computer shutting down with the lights going out and screen going off and all that, only I was still awake, and I didn't turn off with it. By now, Romeo was on the bed trying to wake me up for the morning, and Tigger was sleeping on the end of the bed. I was just hoping that maybe Tigger would want to be more involved with the trip like Copilot. And he said, Tigger's just a baby and he's still learning about life. Copilot was very old when I met him. and was very wise already. He said, just give Tigger time. His personality will develop now that he knows he's safe and never has to worry about being hungry or cold or wet ever again. Church Mouse was the only one in the house who puked that night, hacking up a hairball after I scooted him off the bed. Somewhere around 4:30 or so, I finally fell asleep, and I didn't get up till noon. That was a full 9-hour trip. Sometimes you get one that's only 4 to 5 hours. More likely it's 6 to 7, but you have to prepare for the ones that are 9 hours or more, and it can happen. You better not be going to work the next day. I took a sick day, and rightly so. I could barely get some breakfast before feeling like I was going to pass out. Managed to eat something, feed the cats, and sat down and wrote down everything I could remember throughout the day. I'm still wiped out. I wasn't hungry all day, but I forced myself to have some scrambled eggs at noon and then some dinner with carbs like mac and cheese, and I started to feel a lot better. So that's the story. I'm grateful for the experience and the strength to do it, even if I wasn't feeling great and the circumstances weren't perfect. It feels just good to be back and know that Amy didn't give up on me and that the mushrooms knew exactly what I needed and delivered. It was also good to power through a long trip like that mentally, just to know I can still do it and remember what to do when the seas get rough. Thank you for joining me on this journey, this return to the sea, to the sky, and to the stars. As always, I look forward to your comments and DMs, and I can be reached at Starpilot33 at protonmail.com or on Instagram at Starpilot33. Until next time, stay the course, adjust for the wind, and keep the memories of the places you've been with you in your heart. Look to new horizons, and I'll see you on the other side.